Welcome back. The Sportscast live. Juicy Whip Studios. You guys download the show on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud as well, and our YouTube. Knock, you look good today, by the way. Just gotta say.
This is after work. This isn't even
It's
primping.
looking good.
This is what I look like after work.
It's looking very good.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
It's hard to be humble.
So it is hard to be humble, Knock. Back here, though, again, we're going to have Nick Raducanu here.
You're so good you froze the camera.
Yeah, look, you froze the camera on you.
That's how good you are.
Look at that.
It's
Just like that.
So you're going to get Knocker for the next 20 minutes just frozen in your face? Like
Time
that.
just stood still. Just
because we can't reset it until we go to break.
Can't get better than that, so why move on?
Yeah, I kind of like you just like that. You look kind of cool. I like that. All right, you guys. Nick Raducanu, again, will be on just a couple minutes here. Going to get into your fantasy football, NFL football. We got, what's going on in the game behind us? Is
It's the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, Renee. We'll get it at the break. I'll just reset it, so don't worry about it. Knocker can just stay there. It's okay.
It's all right.
I think it's a good picture, at least.
Right? Right?
You're like posing, which is nice.
Poser.
So, Knocker, let's get into NFL. We're going to get into the AFC East fantasy football as well.
All
right. Nick's calling in right now, so let's bring him on. I know the phones are working. Unmute him. Nick, hello, Nicholas.
What's up, boys? How you doing?
We're doing good. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, you guys sounded like dial-up internet when I was like 12 last week.
AOL?
Hey.
Yeah, it was like ding, 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 ding.
You've
Either
got
that or
me.
like a bunch of aliens. That's what I was saying to you. You sounded like the Predator.
Oh, yeah, that's going to sound like the Predator. I should go for that at night. All right, Nick, hey, man, good to talk to you, brother. Haven't
Yeah, you
talked to you in
too,
a
guys.
while. How's the family? How's the boy doing?
He's good, man. He's almost 2, and we got a little guy coming in like a month from now, actually.
Oh,
Really?
congratulations. Is that another boy, or you
Doubled
got a
up.
girl coming?
Another boy coming.
Oh, you're just building up the workforce. I like
Wow.
it. Got it going.
I'm
Atta
2/5
boy.
of the way to my NBA team. There'll be a bunch of short white guys.
Oh,
Right,
man.
that's a 6 foot and under league, right?
So my question is,
It's going to have to be.
my question to you, Nick, is were you at the Patriots training camp today with all the goats?
No, man, I don't go to that nonsense.
What's with it? They brought 5 real goats out.
Did they actually do that? I haven't really checked out much news. for that.
Yes, they brought 5 real goats in Brady jerseys out for the public, man.
So I saw that this morning, and I saw something about Badgers. Did that thing happen too?
I didn't see anything on Badgers at all, but I posted pictures of the goats out there.
I got to look it up then. It was the Dolphins guy. They were like, he's got Badgers in a bag, and he's going to release them on the field. I don't know.
That's awesome. We got to get to it.
Wow.
All right, well, dude, we got fantasy football coming up. As we know, if you guys are past listeners of the show, Nick knows his shit. If you guys want to tweet him any of your fantasy football questions, he's always a good guy to go to. He'll get right back to you. Nick, what is your new Twitter? Because I know you changed it up a few times now. What's your Twitter at right now?
Yeah, it's just alt Nick Rad.
Okay.
Right now, I changed it a little while. I actually got rid of Project Roto, so I'm all on my own now.
You're all on your own now, but that does not mean that you have fallen off on your fantasy football knowledge, does it?
You know, I still keep up. I'm not going to say I'm like 100. I might slip a little bit tonight. I got one, but I still pay attention. I still draft. And all
No
that.
worries, man. We're gonna, and also we've been covering over different divisions the last couple of weeks, going over the win-loss totals, kind of a preview of the season. I want to get to the AFC East because that's kind of your prime, knowledge there of that division, especially being the Patriots fan that you are. So I want to get into that as well. So, all right, Renee, throw me on a little bit of background here. Actually, let me intro because we haven't played this for Nick in a while. He hasn't been here. So let Nick remember this music when it comes on. How much of Chubbs you get? Here we go. Come on. I'm waiting. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. All right, man. Fan football going on. Just kicked off today. The Cowboys, Cardinals. The Cowboy haters, Nick, probably are already out on Twitter saying the Cowboys suck because they're losing in this game. I'm just letting you know. It's probably already out there. Cowboys are going to be horrible this year.
The funny thing I saw on Twitter is people are saying Blaine Gabbert's good, so I thought that was funny. that was a shock to the system.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Renee, throw us in the background as we go over a couple. Now, let's just get into a little bit of fantasy football talk because we know the drafts are coming up here in a few weeks. Nick, and I want who is this? Let's get you your top guys just real quick. If you want to just run down a list, you probably don't have them, but just give me your top Give me your top, 5 quarterbacks, top 5 running backs, top 5 wide receivers. Kind of going into the
Yeah,
season.
absolutely.
What do you got? What do you got quarterback wise? I brought up Andrew Luck earlier in the show. He hasn't even thrown a football, man, and I'm scared for this guy. If he takes another hit, he might not be able to, come back from it. Is Andrew Luck, before you get your top 5, is he in your top 5? And if he's not, where do you see him going this year?
I have him at 6, so I mean, I have close enough, right? Or no, wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't count. I have him at 5. Yeah, so he is in my top 5.
Okay.
Honestly, that's partly just because of the other guys that aren't there. So, like after him, you get into like Kirk Cousins and Jameis and Cam Newton, Derek Carr,
right,
and
middle
those
grade
guys are
guys,
fine
yeah.
and all, but a lot of it's just because Luck has so much upside. I mean, they have so many weapons in that offense still. And Frank Gore seems like he's like 55 years old, but he's still there and still playing well. So, yeah, I mean, he's such a talented guy. But you're right. Like, their line sucks. I don't know why they didn't draft anybody good on their line for years. But I think he's worth the upside that you maybe take him ahead of guys like Russell Wilson or, like I said, Kirk Cousins.
Is he a first rounder for you? Like, is he a late in a 12 team? Is
No,
he like 11 or 12 pick?
Honestly, yeah, I'm weird. I know a lot of people like to take like Brady and Breeze and people like that. Like, I'm weird, and we'll probably wait till guys like I don't even Rivers or
someone
Prescott,
that can throw up some
your
decent
boy
numbers.
Dak,
Yeah,
like I'm okay with him as my starting quarterback.
yeah. No, I'm with you. There's those guys, those B quarterbacks that still you know what you're going to get, probably a couple touchdowns and 300 yards out of him on a consistent basis. Like you said, Rivers has been great for the value you can get him at. Even Mariota this year. I don't mind grabbing Mariota.
Right. Yeah, totally. He's got a ton of upside. But to go back to Luck, I mean, if you want to take a quarterback early, I'd go with somebody safer, like Rodgers or Brady or Breeze or even Matt Ryan, I think. So Luck's fine, but I just wouldn't risk him.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. Rivers is great down there. I mean, you can get him as like the 15th quarterback right now, which is nuts.
Yeah. So what is your top 5 quarterbacks coming into this year's fantasy football draft?
So I'm actually going to stay away from my boy Brady just because I think they're going to have a little bit more of a balanced offense. He's still going to be good, but I still have Rodgers as my number 1. I mean,
okay.
I think he's the most talented quarterback in the league. Best, that's up for debate, but I think he's the most talented quarterback in the league. He has so many weapons, and Ty Montgomery, is he going to last the season as their starter? He was a little guy. Supposedly he bulked up. So they're going to be throwing a lot. So I have Rodgers. I have Brady at 2, obviously huge offense, and I don't want to be called a Tom Brady lover or anything like that. So I'll move on. Drew Brees, super old still, but
still a top 3, huh? Drew Brees still top 3 fantasy quarterback.
I still like him that high. I know.
Okay.
And then I've got Ryan 4. I mean, I think he's still got the offense around him. Shanahan's gone, but I think he's still going to put up numbers this year, especially playing in the dome with that like fast offense there. And then I have Luck at 5.
Okay, and you have Luck at 5. All right, so not bad. Where do you have Russell Wilson and just Dak Prescott slotting in here?
So I have Wilson at 6, and I have Prescott. So I have Wilson ahead of guys like Cousins and Mariota, actually, who I like in top 10. I have him ahead of Winston. I think Cam's going to come back this year. I mean, people forget Cam Newton I think he was a top 4 quarterback for like his first 4 seasons.
Yeah, he was, especially with his rushing touchdowns and his yardage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's kind of their goal line back. So yeah, I mean, as long as he stays healthy, and it's a big if, he's got so much upside, and you can get him down at like the 10th quarterback around Jameis, Carr, Roethlisberger, guys like that.
Yeah, you're probably not like he was saying. You're probably going to get good value for Cam Newton this year. Well, I mean, a lot of people think that he's maybe not as good as advertised. He's he's slumping last year. The attitude might not be there as well.
They don't want him to run.
And I think like Nick's saying here, if you can grab Cam Newton in a late 4th or 5th round, or even somewhere that would grab it, take him at that point, 3rd round here, you're going to get some good value, because I do think he's going to get a bounce back here, especially with Christian McCaffrey there. He's got some weapons now.
Sure, yeah, and then if you really are worried about Cam, you can still grab like, I don't know, Carson Palmer, Wentz, or one of those guys just as kind of a flyer too later. So I think it's not a bad move with the upside he has.
I'm just kind of curious, Nick. There's just no love coming out of you for Derek Carr, man. I mean, he's
got
offensive weapons.
Someone we did not bring up.
Backs, he's got some wide receivers. They got an open offense.
It's the Raider hate, dude. He can't get over it.
You just can't get over it. You're just not going to mention the Raiders.
I have him Ninth, so that's not too bad.
Now, I'm going to get personal here because in the league that I care most, I play in a league with Frank Kramer.
No Dak either, bro.
And I've got Derek Carr here, and I drafted him a couple years ago, and each year, as you know, in some leagues, if you in a keeper league, they go around above what you drafted him at, right? It continues that way. Is Derek Carr, if I keep him at a number 6 pick in my 6th round pick here, is that a good deal to keep him as a 6th rounder in a 10-team league?
Who else can you keep? I mean, I guess that's.
I mean, if I'm going to keep a quarterback, I'm just thinking. I mean, he's going to give me. If he's healthy all year, I think he's a top 8 quarterback with that offense.
Yeah.
Would you not say?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to get that.
I think he's worth keeping. Yeah,
Okay.
But if it's like if you have to drop somebody else to keep him, then it's another.
No, he
decision.
might be
But
my
yeah,
only keeper because we only get to keep 2.
okay,
So
yeah,
he
totally
might.
then. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right. Cool. Let's get to running backs here, Knocker. As we know, the position in football that's been probably devalued the most over the past 5 seasons
but
here,
it's
Knocker.
making a comeback, in my opinion.
It is kind of
my
making
opinion,
a
it is
comeback
making
here,
a
but it's
comeback.
kind of more of the running back by committee here. You have
Agreed.
you have the gasher, the guy, the fast guy, the speedster, and then you have the guy that pounds it up the middle. You guys just go, with those two. Who do you got in your top 5 here, running backs, Nick, coming into the season? Obviously, Zeke, number 1. I think he's going to have a little bit of a drop back, but I do still think he's the number 1 running back. Who you got your top 5?
So before I get into that, I agree with what Knocker just said, and I know you don't like when I agree with him, but
Yeah, seriously, come on.
You're a smart man, Nick.
but I feel like running back's been so devalued now. To your point, where it's like everybody's doing that, and you kind of have to get the guys that I think you have to get the guys that you can. So there's so many committees where people try to wait on them and grab one of the guys that becomes the starter, or
Right.
maybe pick up some guy off waivers. But that means there's so few good running backs, and you mentioned one of them. But there's maybe 10, I guess, running backs that you feel good as having your anchor running back. And if you can get 2 of those, because everybody else is drafting wide receivers, I feel like you kind of set yourself up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many receivers. I just did a draft a couple weeks ago, and I took a lot of receivers early, and then I was like, man, I was in there the 12th round, and I'm like, man, there's still wide receivers that I wouldn't mind right now, but
Right.
I've got 8 of them already.
Right,
So,
right.
I don't know. I kind of like going running back this year. But anyways, to your question, I don't know, man. This one's tough for me. Can you guarantee he's not going to be suspended?
Well, I mean, that's another question. If he is suspended for a game, maybe at the most 2, is he still worth that first-round pick?
Yeah.
Second, maybe.
Yeah.
Second round.
So Bell last year missed, I think it was 3, and he went from probably the number 1 pick before he got suspended to late second, early
Right.
third round, and I'm pretty sure he still returned a top 5 value because he was a freaking monster when he came back. So yeah, I mean, I think Elliott's worth it no matter. If he misses 2 games, I'm cool with him as a first rounder even to some extent.
So
maybe
he's your
second
number.
rounder.
He's still your number 1.
I don't. It's if I had 3 drafts, I'd probably take David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and Elliott in all 3. I'd take 1 in each.
So you would say those 3 are interchangeable? I mean, depending on who you kind of preference when the good draft comes. If maybe you're a Bell fan, maybe you're a Zeke fan, just take kind of the guy who you like.
Yeah, and I mean Johnson's so good too. He catches the ball out of the backfield. So if you're in a PPR league, and Bell does too, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he was their number 2 receiver last year.
All 3 of those running backs you named are catching running backs.
Well, I think with the window
Yeah.
closing, I think with the window closing on Carson Palmer here, him being maybe his last year, for sure next year's his last year.
Yeah.
I think they use David Johnson even more to keep him healthy because the only shot they have of going too
Anywhere's with
deep
him
into
at
the
quarterback.
playoffs is with Carson
Sure.
Palmer standing straight up. So they have to take the pressure off of him throwing the ball. And I think David Johnson sees a lot of reps either on the ground or
good
short
point, Knock.
passes, screen passes.
He's really good too. He's coming off a
Yes,
knee injury, but
absolutely.
he's really good.
I
Yeah.
like him a lot.
All right, so
Yeah,
you
so
got
those-
your top 3. So who are you going to go with after that?
So I like McCoy at 4. I mean, he's still only
Okay.
I think 27, if I'm not wrong. maybe
His
29,
injuries
I
don't
forget.
scare you at all? I mean, I know he does perform when he's on the field, but Knocker, you get those couple injuries, and it just they're guys that you can't. You know it's coming at some point of the year. He's going to miss 3 or 4 games with some nagging injury. Are you still that
Yeah.
comfortable taking him number 4?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean,
Okay.
they only have Zay Jones as his backup. You can take him in the last round and have the
So there's
handcuff.
no one to
You're
snake his
fine.
job unless he gets injured. He's got the job.
Yeah, and it's not hard. It's not one of those ones where you have to draft a handcuff in the 8th round.
Right.
so here's a good comparison. So Devontae Freeman, Kevin Coleman's pretty good.
Yeah,
so,
for
like,
the Falcons, yep.
You know, you're sort of risking that one if you take him over McCoy. Like, I think McCoy's a little safer in terms of touches and being able to get his backup too. And then 5's tough for me because then a lot of people have Melvin Gordon there. I'm not really a huge Melvin Gordon fan. I kind of want to
9 touchdowns last year for Melvin Gordon. I mean, 2 receiving. It's not bad.
He wasn't bad last year. I just don't like him for some reason.
Okay.
And then like Freeman, and not personally. Freeman's good and all, but we mentioned Coleman and Jordan Howard's good, but like, are the Bears going to be running the ball more than 10 times a game? They're going to be down all the time. So I don't know. I mean, I think you could take Gurley there at 5.
Yeah,
I'd probably
I was going to wonder when you bring him up.
But those are all good players. I mean, so that's where it's like, if you go to the top 10 running backs, like you're doing all right if you get any one of those guys. You throw DeMarco Murray in the mix.
Okay.
Then you get into like the Leonard Fournette range and Lamar Miller and Isaiah Crowell. I don't feel great about any of those guys. So back to my original point, it's like if you get one of the top 10 guys, maybe 2,
try and
lock
snag
in as
2
your running backs,
Okay.
I feel like you set yourself up really well versus everybody else in your league.
Wait on those receivers, like Nick said, man. Try and stack those two power running backs and take your league by storm.
Like you said.
Yeah. So Nick, real quick before we run to wide receivers and then to the AFC East, you're our Patriots insider here. You love to hate the Patriots running game. As a fantasy owner, you hate it because you never know what Belichick's going to do. Now they've got this guy, Mike, was it Gillespie? Is that who he is? Gillisley. They still have James White and Deion Lewis here. Is there a Patriots running back you feel comfortable drafting and maybe starting on a week-to-week basis?
Well, and they brought in Rex Burkhead, too.
Yeah, and Rex Burkhead, exactly.
He's not bad, and he catches the ball out of the backfield really well. So, yeah, they've got this, like, four-headed monster. There's been reports here that they might cut Deion Lewis, but that would surprise me.
Yeah, he's dynamic.
Yeah, I know, right? He seems like one of the better out of that group,
right.
But, James White's the Super Bowl hero.
Yeah.
I'd take Gillislee. You can probably bet that he's going to have the LeGarrette Blount role, who
he's going to get the
what did he have last year? Like 18 touchdowns or something absurd where he just
unbelievable. Anytime it's inside the 6-yard line and in, you're getting a touchdown out of him basically.
Yeah, and Blount actually, for as big as he is, isn't a good goal line back. So Gillislee's they're really their power runner.
Okay, so if you're going to go with him, if you're going to draft
you can get him in like the 7th or 8th round, maybe later in some drafts.
Okay, and lastly here, let's just stick with the wide receivers here. Again, talking with Nick Raducanu. Follow him at AltNickRad on Twitter. And Nick, your wide receivers here, as we know, Antonio Brown, always a fan favorite, usually goes number 1 in a lot of people's drafts. You got Beckham, that everyone's looking to have kind of a bounce back year, one of his better years, I think that he's going to have. And you've got kind of those guys, Larry Fitzgerald. You've got, some of these older veterans here. Julio Jones, injury-prone, but also as a dynamic player. Where are you going with wide receivers? As you said earlier, you kind of think you can wait on some of these wide receivers and still get value, but who you got your top 5?
Yeah, so, this is kind of like same thing with running back. If I had 3 drafts, I'd probably take one in each of Antonio Brown, Beckham Jr., and Julio Jones. They're all just such dynamic players, and if you do have an early pick, I'd probably take one of Bell, Johnson, or Elliott early, just to be a little different and try to build my team that way. But if you want to go receiver, you're psyched with any 3 of those guys. Like you said, Brown's money in the bank every year.
Yeah.
Especially in PPR leagues. Beckham is, fun to watch. He's actually really consistent for as much shit as he gets in the tabloids and whatnot. He's really consistent fantasy-wise, and then Julio Jones. He's the guy that can give you the 4 touchdown week,
right?
It was 290 yards. I think he had that one game. So he's huge too. Yeah, any one of those guys is great. And then you've got that sort of mix of Mike Evans and AJ Green. I'd probably interchange those guys at 4 or 5. I think both are red zone targets, big guys. Really, their teams. Not only, but only really good option.
Does Dez Bryant and DeAndre Hopkins, do they have a bounce back year this year?
I think Dez does, but I worry about him staying healthy. He's had so many foot injuries now, and he just seems like he's gonna miss 4 or 5 weeks. And if it's in the middle of your fantasy season, that's tough. I don't know with DeAndre. I want to say yes because he's really good, and I keep hearing reports of the training camp typical nonsense of like, Watson looks like the best rookie I've seen in years, and all that kind of crap. So I want to believe it. I feel like Savage is going to have a job for the first 5-6 weeks, and he's not that either. But yeah, I mean, Hopkins has done it with Osweiler. He's done it with Hoyer. So, he can do it with bad quarterbacks, but I'd probably maybe rather take a flyer on Brandon Cooks around there, or I'd take Amari Cooper over him. I'd take Dez over him. So, he's good and all, but I just don't love targeting quarterbacks like that.
And lastly here, does Alshon Jeffrey have a little bit of bounce back here with the Eagles now, kind of going with Carson Wentz? Do you think his value, you can kind of get him later, kind of maybe been a forgotten wide receiver since he's left the Bears?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the only thing, like the one tiny thing that worries me is I've read he's got some shoulder problem, and he's always had shoulder problems. So, as long as that's nothing, I'm good with him. But yeah, he goes around, the 20 range a little earlier maybe in most drafts. So you can get him, around Sammy Watkins range, Terrell Pryor, Devontae Adams. I like Alshon better than all those guys personally.
No Edelman. No mention of Edelman. Why?
I think the worry with him is Cooks, right?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks is there now coming over from the Saints last year.
But Edelman always seems to get his.
Exactly.
I agree with what Knocker's saying. It's like no matter who's there, like Edelman gets his.
Right,
so,
when they're in times of trouble.
If you're in a PPR league.
Yeah, if you're in a PPR league and you can get, and you, like Nick said, you go draft maybe a running back first and then followed up with your second round pick as Edelman, I'm okay with that. You go out and get a number 1 running back, Le'Veon Bell, and followed up in the second round and like maybe a 12-teamer with Edelman. I'm good with that because he's like PPR.
I think that's maybe too early, but just because you can probably get him, a round or two later.
Okay.
Most people are probably going to take Cooks first, but yeah, I mean, he's probably money in the bank for like 80, 90 catches at least.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, who knows if Gronk stays healthy too, right? So that's another one. It's like if Gronk goes down, then Edelman's totally fine. So I think he's safe and consistent enough where you can feel good about drafting him.
Here's my sleeper. Here's my rookie sleeper of the year for fantasy points. Cooper Coop for the Rams.
Cooper Coop?
Cooper Coop is his name.
Who names their kid Cooper Coop?
That's his name.
Who the hell is that? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah,
he plays for the Rams. Okay, he was their number 2 pick.
Cooper Coop?
Yes.
K-U-P-P.
He plays that slot receiver just like Edelman. Okay, he holds the
Google this guy, Nick. I don't even know if he's real.
He holds the record. He played at Eastern Washington. He holds the record.
He's literally Googling it now.
He holds the record for receptions, yards, and touchdowns, I believe, for Eastern Washington and that division.
Right.
Okay.
Is he real, Nick? Is he real?
He's a little white guy.
He's big. He's fast, and he's got sure hands, and he's going to be Jared Goff's dump-off guy. And I'm hearing nothing but great things out of camp from this kid and from the Rams organization. So if you're looking for, 6 catches a game, maybe a touchdown every other game or something like that, I think this guy's just going to be the sleeper of the year. As far as
watch out for Knock there.
I'm just
Knocker's
going to
take him in the 3rd round.
I'm just putting. No, I'm not taking him that early. But if I've got some other guys and I need to maybe make some numbers,
hey,
take a shot.
Bench player, maybe comes back.
Maybe you could probably get him in the last round.
Yeah, last round stat. So that's Knocker's last round stasher.
He's gonna catch. He is gonna catch some passes in McVay's offense. Guarantee you.
Right, Nick?
He's gonna catch some passes in McVay's offense. Trust me, he's gonna catch a lot of passes.
That could be the call of the year.
He's 6'2". He's a big boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
could be the call of the year for Knocker there.
Thank you.
Imagine that.
All right, Knock. Hey, Nick, I want to just keep you on. We're gonna go over the AFC East here real quick. We've got the New England Patriots, the kings of the division. I think they're going to win it once again this year. But then you got the Dolphins with Tannehill's injury coming down. Buffalo Bills, you never know what you're going to get out of them. And, of course, the Jets they're tanking it this year to try and get Sam Darnold. It's just another runaway year for New England, right?
I would think so. I mean, even, you could say the normal, barring injuries, but they're so freaking deep, too. I mean, let's say Brady goes down. They're not going to win 14 games, and maybe they still win 11 or 12, which I think is fine in that division. And, let's say Cooks goes down, like we just talked about Edelman, and then you've got Amendola and Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell. I mean, they're so deep there, too. Running back, we talked about. Even their defense, they didn't trade Malcolm Butler, so he's still there, and Gilmore. So their cornerbacks are really good. They've got pretty good linebackers and defensive line. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I don't see how they lose the division, really.
No, I'm with you on that. But do you think that this is the best team that Tom Brady has had since that Randy Moss year?
Oof.
Yeah,
That's
honestly,
tough.
I mean, it may be better than that team in certain ways. Like,
yeah, I'm hearing that. That's why I ask. Yeah,
like, they didn't have Gronk on that team. They had Ben Watson, who wasn't bad at the time. He's still not bad, but he was pretty good. But he's no Gronk. Their running back was Lawrence Maroney, so I'd take their current group of running backs over that.
Yeah.
Their defense was pretty good, but they were all kind of old Rodney Harrisons and Brewskis, and I think McGinnis was gone at that point. But it was basically like the holdovers from that 03-04 run. And it showed in that Giants Super Bowl. I mean, those guys were gassed. So yeah, all that said, I mean, who knows really? But like, this team is really, really talented, and more so than really any Patriots teams I can remember.
Well, the Vegas over/under for the Patriots is at 12.5 here, Nick, favoring the over at -130 here.
I feel like that's an easy over.
Is that an easy over? Because me and Knocker were kind of looking over schedules and stuff. But you basically think that they're probably going to sweep their own division, or maybe at the worst lose one game, right, against their own division.
Yeah, like maybe the Bills beat them, maybe. But
right.
Yeah, I don't. Or maybe I don't know when they play in Miami. If they have to go down in like early September and it's 105 degrees or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a homer, but I saw that come out like a month ago.
Yeah, you like that over? You think they go 13-3, 14-2?
So I didn't take it, but yeah, I liked it when I saw it.
Okay,
Wow.
so let's just go over real quick. The Dolphins here again losing Ryan Tannehill here. It looks like luckily it's not anything serious. Probably gonna be back maybe for the first game of the season, maybe the second. Jay Ajayi, though, suffering, like Knocker said earlier in the show, from that concussion knock, and you know how those things linger.
Never know
with these athletes,
Absolutely.
and that could hamper him all year long. Where do you see the Dolphins as, Miami's going to be good this year, just like the Bills.
Is there over under 7.5?
Yes, you got it right, Knock.
Damn,
you don't
right
even look
there.
at these, too, Knock.
I do not look at these.
I know,
Am I
you
good
don't.
or what?
That's right on the knot here. And the over's favored slightly here at 7.5. Nick, what do you see the Dolphins doing this year, man?
So without looking at their schedule, which is dangerous,
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to take that. So, like, they've got 2 from the Jets just built in.
Right.
So then they only need, 6 more? I mean, again, I haven't looked at their schedule, but I feel like they can find 6 more. Maybe 1 against Buffalo, and then that's 5 more against the rest of the league. And honestly, like, I think Tannehill's okay, but, like, it's not all that much worse, I don't really know if he is. So, and they made some decent signings. So,
yeah, they play the NFC South as their out of division
okay, so
schedule.
that's a little tougher, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they're due for another 9-7, 8-8 season. Probably just miss out on the playoffs, something like that.
Yeah,
if you're a betting man, and you said you're not, though, but if you were a betting man and you had to bet, your 2 sons need some food on the table tonight, you got to make a bet. What's Daddy betting on?
That's true. You know what? I'll take it.
You're gonna take the over?
I'll take the over.
Oh, so the Dolphins get to 8-8 then. You finish
go
right
over
around there. I'm gonna go under on the Patriots pick, just so you know, because we're gonna record these for the show. I'm gonna go under. I think they finished 12-4. I think that half point really scares me.
Okay.
Dolphins, I'm gonna go under.
Okay.
I'm going under that because I just feel like if Tannehill's not even there for the game first, and he's gonna be limbering around, I'm just not a big fan of the Dolphins.
I'm going over.
All right, here Buffalo Bills next up here as we cover the NFC East with our boy Nick Raducanu. Knocker, take your guess. You've been right on.
4.5.
Ooh, a little off.
5.5.
It's 6.
6.
6 for the Bills, and the over's favored by -150. Knock.
No.
That is a hell of a favor by Vegas. They think Rex Ryan's gone. This team's gonna bounce back.
That's a push.
Nick, what do you got to say here? They're playing the NFC South as they're out of schedule here. What do you got on the Bills here? How do you think they fare?
So again, let's give them 2 from the Jets, 1 from Miami.
They also play the Chargers in the year and the Raiders as well. So
where are those games?
The Raiders, it's going to be at home against the Raiders, and then they play the Chargers in Los Angeles in a soccer stadium.
Okay, so that's. you sound bitter about that.
I hate the Chargers. Just go back to San Diego. Like
Right?
no one likes you
We
here.
don't need you. We
don't
want
need you.
Go
I want
away.
nothing. You're like that redheaded stepchild.
You're like the Clippers. The Chargers are like the Clippers.
I like the song though.
Go.
Right?
You know what? I'm gonna say over. I think Tyrod
Like the
Taylor's
song.
okay. They've got
Wow.
McCoy. Watkins
He's
stays
going
healthy.
over.
Their
He's
defense
going
isn't all that
over.
bad. McDermott's a good coach. I'm going over.
Wow, Nick.
I'm going push.
I like that. He's not even a betting man. He's going over.
I'm going push.
I'm gonna go over with Nick too. I think they get to 7. I think they get to 7 or at least push. So I'll take the over and thinking they might push knock, but I'm gonna go with the over. Okay. Don't go push. So you gotta go over under because a push doesn't make you.
But it's only 6.
Yeah, so a push doesn't hurt you or make you. So you go over under. Which one are you gonna take?
Under.
Taking under. Okay, taking under. All right.
I see nothing, nothing good in Buffalo. Absolutely nothing.
Except LaShawn McCoy, like you said, McCoy could have a good year.
I think they tank after
Round and pound.
3 games. After 4 games,
Bills
when they're
Mafia
1 and
just
3,
gets drunk in the parking lot.
when they're
you know?
1 and 3 after 4 games, they're done. Sorry.
Bills Mafia is the dumbest thing ever.
Oh my God,
What does that
Nick!
even
Stop
mean?
hating. You know that those guys are fucking.
It's more entertaining to watch the tailgates and
Yes.
the people fingering their
Come on, Nick,
girlfriends
you
in the
gotta admit
stands
that.
at
You gotta-
Buffalo Stadium.
Oh no, those people are savages. Like those fans are absolute savages.
I'd rather
More
watch the
respect
girl
for the fans.
Yeah, the guy fingering, his girl to keep his hands warm rather
Right.
than watching the play on
Doing
the field.
coke on
you
the
know?
neighbor's seat.
Yeah,
Off
the bathroom toilet in the bathroom. You're like, who cares?
Oh, those people
Bills
are
Mafia.
crazy.
Go
I know.
Bills.
Go Bills. All right, lastly here, the embarrassment of the league. The New York Jets, man. They're tanking.
That's got to be 4.
We talked about it last week, me and Knock. They're trying to tank for Sam Darnold to USC, but unfortunately for
coming
them,
out.
he ain't coming out to play for him. But the Jets here, Nick, do you see anybody that, first of all, fantasy-wise, that you'd be really wanting to draft, and where do you see them kind of playing out this year? But, Knocker, what is the over-under? What do you guess?
4.5.
4.5 on the over-under. Let me see what I got here. The New York Jets are 4.5.
baby.
Knocker. The
These
Jets.
guys get paid big money.
And
I
the
get
under-
drunk. I
the
get drunk,
under.
and I know this,
I know,
right?
right. The under is minus 200, dude.
They're winning 4 games.
That is.
They're
it's
winning
like
4 games.
Vegas is just begging you to take that.
They got 1 player. Marshall still plays there, right?
I don't think Marshall's even. Is Marshall there still, Nick?
No, Marshall's gone.
Yeah,
Oh, is
Marshall's-
he?
Yeah, he's
Well,
gone.
then they're going 3.
Yeah, what do you got for the Jets here, dude?
So, I think you said fantasy-wise too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Do you have anybody that you draft literally on your team from the Jets?
Joe Namath.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
Richard
maybe
Todd.
Forte. I kind of like Bilal Powell more. Like I almost wish
Did you
they would
just say
trade
Bilal
Forte.
Powell? Really? We're gonna draft Bilal Powell?
Really?
It sounds like the drunk of the week we
Bilal.
play. You know, Mr.
Mr.
Plow.
Really enunciate
Mr.
that one.
Plow.
I guess Quincy Enunwa, if I can't say his name either. Anytime you can get a number 1 wide receiver, I guess you got to go with him.
He'll get
but,
hurt.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said,
Yeah.
the over/under's 4.5 here, Nick. Like you said, their division. They might. I think they lose every game in their
So
division.
under.
I don't see that. I mean, maybe Vegas knows better, so they
Yeah.
set that number for a reason.
Yes,
but,
they're
like,
gonna go
I
0
don't see how
6.
I don't see how they get to 3.
Yeah, I don't say they play at the Raiders. That's just a loss. They got to go to. They play at home against the Jags, so that might be something that they could win. But I think they lose at the Browns October 8th. I'm
Right?
telling you.
Yep.
I think they do.
Browns 1 win of the year.
Yeah, and then they got to finish up at the Buccaneers. They got to go. Yeah, Atlanta. This is not happening. I'm gonna take that under.
3.
I feel really like you wouldn't think you'd bet on a team winning only 4 games, but I think that happens.
Happens every year.
I do
Somebody
too,
only
man.
wins 2 or 3 games.
Dude,
and
Nick,
they're one of them.
Nick, it's been nothing but a pleasure, man. It really has. I
Yeah,
appreciate
likewise,
you.
guys. Always good talking to you.
Yeah, it's always good to have you on the show, man. We'll be talking to you throughout the year. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow, an even better guy, and we wish you luck with the new baby. Congratulations, dude, on the new baby boy. Continue doing what you do, and you know you're always part of the Sportscast family, so we'll talk to you real
Good
soon.
luck with that baby. Praying for a healthy birth, man.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Later,
buddy,
brother.
take care.
Thank you.
All right, man. I'm glad the phone sounded great.
Right?
I think Renee plugged in the wrong
I
cords
think
last
so.
time.
I think it was too
I know, I
stoned.
said, hey, Renee, you want to get stoned at the break?
Hey.
When I came in, they were already plugged in.
It's okay because
So don't bother checking, right?
Yeah, right.
Right? It's not like your job or anything, right?
Well, I was told not to touch anything.
So let's just,
how good
you know,
Knocker
NASA.
looks.
Hey, shit, it was already fucking lined up. Let's fire it up.
Knocker, look how good you look still frame.
Let's fire it up.
Look how good your still frame is.
Why you gotta bring up the past like a woman?
Yeah, what is
And you
that
know,
shit?
3
Focus
years
on the
ago,
present.
Renee.
Focus on the present.
3 years ago. Now that's a woman, right? 3 years ago.
Right, yeah. I don't even remember what I wore yesterday. I don't even remember what chonies I wore yesterday. You expect me to remember 3 years
So
ago?
I'm trying to remember what you wore yesterday. Knocker, you look good freeze frame right
I
now.
do. I look
gotta
good
say,
anytime,
We're
bro.
going to reset your camera. You're going
I
to come
look
back
good
better than
any
ever because you know what's
friggin'
coming up after the break?
Shot of the week, baby.
No. We're going 3 breaks tonight. We're going full 2 hours. You get a full college football
Wow.
segment coming up next. Are you ready for this?
For sure.
Are your college football nuts ready to go on this?
Absolutely.
Are you ready to splurge it all
They're
out there?
tight.
They're tight.
They're tight,
They've been
sucked
ready to
right
burst
up.
for like the last 6 months.
Absolutely.
Oh man, Wendy's just
I
had them.
need some
Just
full
Wendy's
release
just been having
right
those suckers.
this week, yes.
All right, let's get to break here. When we get back, we've got the Knockers College football breaking down your top 25. Going to give you top 7 coaches on the hot seat. Knocker going to bring you those as well.
All right.
I can't wait to talk some college football. Knock. After that, we're going to take another break. We're gonna go good show tonight. We're having an NFL
All right.
game day show. After that,
I thought
come
you
back.
wanted shot of the week earlier in the show.
Fuck it. No, you know what? Let's take it. But let's just take shots before college football. But then we'll do shot of the week after that break. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like, let's
Yeah.
not take any time. Which
All right.
shot of the week turns into a half-hour fucking thing.
I understand.
So let's just drink alcohol.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna drink alcohol. When
I
we
can
get
do
back.
that.
All right, we'll be back. Well, Knocker, what's your song of the week coming up? Right now. Right now. What's the song of the week?
Oldie but goodie, man. This is an oldie but goodie. It's a song called Highway Star by Deep Purple. Richie Blackmore just freaking shreds guitar, man. There's so many people he influenced on the guitar. This is from the album Machine Head back in the late 60s.
This is a good song. This is a good song.
Kicks ass. Enjoy
Yeah.
Highway Star.
Here we go.